Goodness.
Welcome. Look at this for a crowd, huh?
Thank you, guys.
So,
I know that man.
Batman and Joker. You can't get two more iconic characters. Bit of pressure there, guys, huh?
Yeah, tremendous amount of pressure. Unfortunately, so far, the fans have been, you guys have been pretty supportive of what we've done. So that's incredibly, but yeah, I mean, especially for, two nerds like us growing up, these were the most iconic characters, and especially this relationship between these two people is probably one of the most critical relationships, not only to this franchise of Batman, but really just any kind of literary or entertainment form. This is such a defining relationship between two incredibly, complex characters.
Yeah, we definitely, when we got the roles, we both sort of looked at each other and went, we got it! Oh man, we got it. Now we gotta, the work is there for us. Yeah, it was not lost on us the significance of these iconic roles, so no pressure whatsoever.
It sounds like it's raining, doesn't it?
Crowd outside.
There we
So
go.
you had big shoes to fill as well, considering Arkham City, you had Hamilton and Conroy. Wow, did you take any inspiration from those guys, or were you trying to go back to the original source material and take it from there?
I think obviously with it being an origin story, we were going to be able to explore, maybe a different perspective or a different approach to the characters. But that being said, we knew we had to pay homage to what everybody's known as these established characters. And that actually encompassed not only the video games.
This is an announcement for Lisa Byrne. That's Lisa Byrne. Could you please make your way?
Your lights are on.
Thank you.
You've left your lights on. Right.
No, so we tried to take it, we wanted to be mindful of the fact everybody's got their impression of what Mark Hamill and Kevin Conroy have done. It is king. And you can't fill those shoes. That's not the way to approach it at all. Because otherwise you would just want to go get those two guys to do it. But because it was an origin story, they wanted to kind of play around with a less refined version of these characters, a less defined version of Batman. He's a little bit darker and a little bit more unhinged. But we also still had to kind of take into consideration Christian Bale, Michael Keaton. And we tried to encompass everything that would be true and authentic to the characters, not so much a previous performance.
Well, the beauty that we had such a great, there was such a vast wealth and so many wells to pull from within 75 years of Batman history. What I love is that because we are an Arkham game, we do need to point to those two games. And why wouldn't we? The two of the most highly rated, successful video games of all time. Clearly, we don't want to throw anything out because it's resonated so well within the culture. So we have this we've been saying, this star on the horizon that we kind of steered our ship towards to really make a game that's going to stack up just right alongside Arkham Asylum and Arkham City.
Do you have a favorite Joker over the history of people who portrayed him?
For me, growing up, Mark Hamill is my Joker. I absolutely, I remember, racing home from school to turn the television to make sure that I could catch whatever episode of Batman the Animated Series was on during the 90s. And I remember that's the first time we had, Cesar Romero, but really the first time, especially in animated form, for us to see the Joker that literally leapt out of the pages of the graphic novel. It was the first time that we had heard the Joker. We had seen the Joker in Jack Nicholson, whatever, but it's the first time there was an iconic voice that really captured who that character was. And it became so ingrained in my DNA that when I was listening to or reading The Killing Joke, or when I was reading Arkham Asylum, or any of the other graphic novels that I had, Mark Hamill's voice was the voice that I had in my head. So it's interesting because I think the easy thing for me to do would be to do an impression of Mark Hamill. The challenge would be to really focus on who that character is and just do that character. And it's almost innovation through personal emulation. There's what you naturally would do just by what you're influenced by. Just like what Heath Ledger did. Heath Ledger's Joker was really him doing Tom Waits, So I love the fact that we have this huge wealth of information to pull from that even personally, not just, a catalog of work, the personal moments for us that we can bring into these performances.
Do you have a favorite Batman?
Oh, you know what? I've answered this. I know it's always kind of a polarizing thing. I really did enjoy Christian Bale's Batman. I know that the growl is one of those things that people always try to, you know, it's a dividing line, but it actually made good sense to me. I always thought if Bruce Wayne, you know, billionaire playboy, was out to try to don the cape and cowl, as you've been saying, and wanted to try to mask his voice, if he's not a voice actor, he would just maybe try to do the growl or something. So it never really bothered me, and I loved that portrayal of Batman.
So how did you guys get the part? Was it really super secret, or from the
Lot of
off when
money.
you went to audition, was it like Batman, or it's like, this is God-Man, it's got something to do with bats?
What's interesting,
yeah.
what's really interesting is that I had no idea what I was walking into audition for. I just knew that I was going in to read for a character named Jack in an unnamed project, and there were no materials given before time. So I walk in the door cold, and I'm like, okay, sign in, and I write my name down, and they go, okay, here's what you'll be reading. And I look down and I see, it's familiar, that's from Arkham Asylum, that's from Arkham City. These are Joker lines, and that's the monologue from The Killing Joke. And my palms immediately began to sweat, and I wanted to go that way, not that way. And I was terrified, petrified, because the reality of the situation hit me. Oh my God, I'm not only reading for the Joker, but this is going to be an Arkham Joker. This is going to be something that Mark Hamill has done. And it was a real daunting task, and I decided in that moment that all I cared about was that the fanboy in me. The Killing Joke had never been performed. You know, nobody had ever done that on TV or film or whatever, but it was something that I always wanted to hear spoken out loud. And so they said, what would you like to start with? And I said, it's kind of like page 3, you know, the third paragraph, can we just do this? Like, oh yeah, well, we just want to give that a shot. I'm like, give it a shot. And I closed my eyes and I just went for it. And it was a really, really cool moment personally for me as a fan. And yeah, so that's how I originally felt about getting that audition.
What was it like for yourself?
Well, it was sort of typical as well. Like, I didn't realize what we were auditioning for on the first audition. On the second one, we knew what the project was, but for me, it was like, I know the enormity of the entire franchise, like you're saying 75 years, and I do everything I can to not think about any of that, and actually very, very much rely on, like, Eric Holmes, our creative director, Amanda Wyatt, our voice director, to kind of, I lean on them, because if I try to think, well, this is what I'm going to do with this character and it's going to be brilliant. I mean, Eric has such a passion for this character, for this entire universe. So that's the guy that I want to listen to when he says, this is what we want to do with the character, this is where I want it to go. And so it was nice for me to kind of just sort of go, shut off the brain and go, I'm going to do whatever you want me to do. And we did, we worked, I'd say, even just on the first 5 sessions were spent trying to find the voice print and what kind of a version of Batman we wanted to explore. So even from the audition process, it was like, I'm not going to think about it, I'm just going to do whatever it is that they're asking me to do right now, because they are far more creative and intelligent than I could ever hope to be, and they know what they want. And in that regard, it's kind of nice to just be like, I will be your tool. You know, I'm pretty much a tool as it is, but to get in there and just say, like, you know, what do we want to do? And it's literally throwing a bunch of, you know, you barf up a bunch of vocal babies onto the wall and hope they stick, and that's the way we approached it. Barfing vocal babies. That's actually, I'll write that down. Barfing vocal babies.
So you guys actually worked in the studio together, because these days you can either be the full mocap performance, studio sessions, or done completely separate. You just face to face?
They wanted to make sure that they were getting good facial reference, especially for Joker, because this is a very animated character, and they were kind enough to use that for me in conjunction with the mocap actor, which I did a lot of mocap as well, and it was really, the way that this game is set up, there's no right, wrong, perfect way to make a video game. It's just whatever's right for you. And so for this particular thing, because especially Batman is a 6'5", you know, martial artist, I didn't use a bad word just then, my microphone cut out. because Batman is the son of a, and you feel that he's microphone on. They wanted to use people that they get useful in the physicality of that, which I love because the actor that did the Joker was amazing, and we would go in and we would record our performances. They would get facial reference for us, and then they would have the mocap actor come in and mime to them on the stage. It was great, absolutely great. There was we had like 1 or 2 sessions together, and Roger and I are great friends. So you get, Batman and his buddy Joker buddy, barfing vocal ladies. His buddy Joker in the room together, and not a lot is going to get accomplished. Yep. It's terrible. So, for the most part, we did our sessions separately, but I think you had a few that you got to...
I got to, most of it was recorded separately, but I got the joy of working with Martin Jarvis, who does the voice of Alfred in this game, and that man is such class, and he's so cool, and there's a big developmental story that happens with Alfred and Batman in this, and I think it was nice. I mean, Martin and I kind of hit it off, and it was awesome just getting to work with that guy. So the relationship between Batman and Alfred in this game, to have that sort of actual energy taking place in a studio together was phenomenal. But typically we record, usually you're just by yourself.
Is it hard to get the chemistry then that way? So that you're basically in a room from your
Hi there, this is Aidan. Could you please come to the security guard store and help me to me?
But yes, so it's hard to get the chemistry.
I think for this specific performance, it played so well for it, because I liked us being separate and being able to just focus on who our characters were, because it's a hard enough challenge when you walk into a VO booth to kind of bring up that performance without the physicality, what it is that you're actually doing. You're not actually, pulling guns and kicking and doing everything else that we do in the game. To add another challenge on top of that of being able to look at each other and know what joy, what fandom is just like, can you believe we're doing this? The entire, it'd be great for us to kind of like sequester ourselves and just kind of, hone in on this. So I think I actually like the process that we have with this.
Plus, he's got a good 1.5 foot on me as it is, so you can imagine me trying to pick up Troy.
Exactly.
Sorry, Joker. How many lives did you just take?
So how do the roles differ to other games that you guys have done? Because you guys have Assassin's Creed, Bioshock Infinite, there you go, etc., etc. How did this differ to those experiences?
Everybody keeps talking about this Last of Us. I've heard something about that as well. Were you in that?
I had a small role.
Did you? Okay.
Minor.
Nice. Was it cartoony voices, that kind of thing?
Dave, yeah. You do the cartoon voices.
Does anybody do any real acting?
Again, it goes back to the whole thing of finding the right way to make your game the right way. You know what I mean? And with The Last of Us, it was the full performance capture. We had amazing people back at Naughty Dog that we would just get video reference. There were no actual markers or anything on the face. It was just someone filming us like a movie. And then one guy going back and saying, okay, see how he raised his eyebrow? Okay, do that. And it was just literally going 1-to-1, making this into Joel. With Bioshock Infinite, completely different process. They had a camera on Courtney Draper so that they could get, her reactions, her facial expressions for Elizabeth. But you didn't need that for Booker, you just needed this. So I did a lot of hand acting where it was like, we should go over there. Catch, stop throwing stuff at me.
Catch!
Yeah, I had to apologize also for the eating habits in Bioshock Infinite. Had I known that your sustenance would have come from garbage cans and dead people, I might have had like a little disclaimer in there. Try to eat healthy, kids. Oh look, a sandwich from a dead guy. I'm gonna be okay. No, Elizabeth, you go ahead. Anyway.
You've actually had a hell of a year, right? 3 huge games. Some actually call you the new Nolan North.
The thing is that no one's taking anything from Nolan. I mean, you and Nolan work together on Assassin's Creed. Nolan is, in my mind, the most talented guy that we have working in this business. He's so incredibly versatile. Nobody knows. There's probably been stuff. Did anybody know that Nolan was in The Last of Us? But how many knew immediately? Liar. Liar. That's what I love about Nolan, and it's this funny thing that it's like, well, you're trying to usurp his role as King of VO, and it's like, no, not at all. We laugh about that. He and I are fast friends. So yeah, I've been fortunate this year, and hopefully it continues. That we were able to work on some really good projects like Last of Us and BioShock, and I mean Batman: Arkham Origins. So I'm pretty happy about that.
I actually interviewed Nolan a couple of years back for Spec Ops, and as we were talking about, he's in pretty much every game back there. And I was saying, if there was a Nolan North video game, who would voice it because you couldn't voice it yourself? He actually said you. So I'm going to take that question to yourself now. Doing a lot of video games. If there was a Troy Baker the video game, who would voice you? And it couldn't be Roger or Nolan North. Or yourself, obviously.
Why not?
That's
Why can't I do it?
Because he's going to say you.
Maybe I can be the next Troy Baker.
You know what would be funny? Anybody play Saints Row 4 or Saints Row 3? Okay. Laura Bailey and I have very similar styles, especially when she's in like her
Man phase.
being a little cheeky, if I may be so bold. Oh God.
What are you saying?
On your knees. So I would like my character to be voiced by Laura Bailey, just to mess with you guys.
What about you, Roger? If there was so you got this is your perfect chance now.
Oh, so now I get to do this?
Oh, it's always
I see.
about to you.
But it can't be Troy, it can't be Laura Bailey.
Oh, no, it can be Laura Bailey.
What if ever there was to be a Roger Craig Smith video game? It'd be the worst video game ever.
Some iconic characters.
Okay, day one, you wake up and have corn checks for breakfast. Press B to keep chewing.
That sounds like a David Cage game.
Yeah!
Are we not laughing about that yet?
Drop the mic. It's a sore subject, right?
I don't know. I mean, like, all of us are such big fans of each other. I mean, like, legitimately. He and I work on an animated series together. We won't name it. And it's funny because we all love impersonating one another, and they got to the point where you'll do scratch. If Troy's out sick or working another job and can't be there, they'll ask us. They'll ask us to scratch for one another, which is where you record that guy's dialogue. But we all do impressions of one another, and they literally, after one session of that, came back and said, "You guys can't do each other any." Let me rephrase that. You can't do each other's lines like that anymore because the animators are going. Wait, was that? Who did?
I've literally been listening to stuff and it said, "So we need to get that line." I was like, "No, that was you." I was like, "Nope, that was Roger."
That was Roger.
I was like, "No, that was you." Pretty sure it was Roger.
So can you switch voices now and have a conversation with each other?
Sure, here's Troy Baker.
No, that's Roger Craig Smith.
Wait, what?
That sounds exactly like you.
It sounds exactly like you.
It sounds exactly like you.
It sounds exactly like you.
Sitting in a chair.
Sitting in a chair.
Wow.
Wait, no, wait. Can I do my Troy Baker impression?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, here it goes. There it is. That's exactly what it is. Thank you very much. I'm trying to teach him hand farts.
This is what you do on an 8-hour flight. I know.
Come on, that's pretty good.
That would be the Roger Craig Smith video game. That would be, yeah, exactly. Like you'd unlock points for that.
The hand farts are over 9,000.
That's what you guys are doing next, right?
Uh-huh.
You're just losing voices and just doing hand
Hand farts 2.
Yeah,
It's
well,
actually coming out.
be careful, because these are
Oh, shoot.
we're pitching.
We're supposed to-
We're supposed to talk about it.
So you guys must be big gamers, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So what's been your favourite game that you voiced?
Oh man, I mean it's very like actory response, but to say all of them, I mean this is such. Every day behind a voice over microphone is an awesome day, and our job is to audition, and our job is to try to book work. And so when you book any role, you know, I was thrilled to be Metal Gear Solid 4 online voice type C in that game, because it was like I'm in a video game. The fact that it's been Chris Redfield and Sonic and Ezio and you know Batman. there's no favorites. I mean, because every single time you get to do this job, you don't work a day in your life doing this job. It's so much fun. So I don't have a favorite. I guess the pat answer is the next one is going to be my favorite, because if I get to keep doing this and be a part of this awesome industry, it's like, wow, I can't believe it. But I can't pick a favorite.
Favorite that we've done or favorite that we've played?
Done yourself.
Oh, yeah, see, the same thing. I can name the favorite that I've played.
Okay, that
Right?
works.
Is that cool?
It's going to be one you've been in, right?
No? Well, okay, I'm gonna give you a top 5. How about that?
Okay, that works.
All right. You guys ready for that? Top 5. In no particular order. Saints Row 4 was such a fun romp. I had so much fun. I lost so much sleep on that game. Really, that's all I love? Saints Row 4? Hail to me! This year, I really, really enjoyed playing Grand Theft Auto. 2. Just joking. Grand Theft Auto 5 was an amazing game, absolutely amazing game this year. BioShock Infinite wrecked my life. That last airship battle, I went outside, sat on my doorstep, waited for a small child, and then punched them. You're like, what was that for? BioShock, go get it, don't worry about it. Airship battle, just use Undertow. But I would have to say that my most enjoyable experience, it's completely self-indulgent, so yes, you're right. It was completely self-indulgent, but it was a really interesting thing. I was able to separate myself from it. Was playing The Last of Us. That was to work on something for 2.5 years and then play it was incredible. And that's the one thing that I'm looking most forward to about going home is going down to our store, I buy the games, buy it new. I can't wait to pop in this game, to pop in Batman and pick up that controller and just make him look like a prince, and finally get to hear all the hard work and see and play all the hard work these people put together.
What's it like moving from like a character like Sonic to Batman?
Well, they're one and the same, really. I mean, it's just, they fix my voice in post. Literally, like, it's Sonic's voice the whole time doing it, and then they just drop it down a few pitches to do Batman.
Right, though, right?
No, it's awesome. It's fun. That's the joy of this business. Again, it's like, I mean, who out there? I've been out there wanting so bad to be a part of something like this, and so when it happens, it's just like, yeah, to do Sonic and Batman, they're all very cathartic. Batman's, angry than Sonic, I should say. But Sonic's a great voice to do after sitting in LA traffic for a long time, because he's so snarky and sarcastic, and it's all the stuff I wish I could say. But I'm short. I probably shouldn't mouth off too much. It's going to end poorly for me.
I'm sure yourself, you've gone from being the hero in a lot of games to being the villain in this one. Is that saying something about your character shift? Is it?
I like playing villains, or playing a very complex hero, and I think, again, to bring up Last of Us, I don't know Joel as a hero.
Anti-hero.
Or even anti-hero. I mean, it's you can look at it from two different sides. That's really a story about no hero and no villain. It's just life. What I love about playing a villain like this is, you have to step up your game, and you have to. Travis Willingham is a dear friend of ours, has a phrase where he says, "You have to do the things that make you tremble." And this is definitely one of those things that made me tremble, because it's such a complex character. Because there's so much to dig into. There's fear of getting lost inside of it. And I know that sounds really, really glib, but it's really true. And again, it goes back to that Killing Joke monologue. It's such a great cross-section of who the Joker is. There's a lot of wealth to pull from that. And I was grateful that there were moments in this game that to me stand shoulder to shoulder with that monologue. And that I was able to work hand in hand with people that were so hell-bent and passionate on making something that was worthy of something of such a great franchise.
We actually had Elias Defenses on the stage yesterday, and he was saying that he actually lost jobs because his voice was too familiar. Have you guys ever had that when you've walked into an audition and they've gone, no, you sound too much like Booker, like Sonic?
That's always, I think that's the biggest concern about doing this stuff. It's such a trip to do voiceover work and have it get, not elevated, but have it become high profile like this, you know? Because the greatest thing about our job is that anonymity that can exist with being, it's also one of the reasons why we don't want to, before a game is released, do the voices and that kind of thing, because I don't want you to associate, good lord, this is what you think Batman looks like. I don't want you to associate that with that stuff. So it's strange. I mean, it's strange to be out there and to be sitting here in front of you guys and talking about characters that we've done. And yeah, you begin to get concerned that people are going to be like, well, we don't want so-and-so because he's already done this, this, and this, and therefore, you know, thankfully, the characters that we've both done already have had a good amount of range between them, so people don't necessarily I would hope people don't think I talk like Sonic all the time. Like, showing up for the Batman audition doing that, like, wait, isn't he gonna sound like Sonic the Hedgehog? Good lord, I hope not.
So, okay, what about yourself?
I've there have been a few instances where there literally was, we don't want Troy.
Uh-oh.
Really? Is that me?
No, it's
Did that just fall out of you?
Oh,
God.
God. Just drop it.
Still works
It's
though.
my pacemaker, it's all good.
Still working.
Everybody's fine.
Yeah, I actually had one game where they were like, you're in too much. And I actually respect that, because what that says is that, first of all, I'm not a cure-all. You know, I would like to be known as something that is a resource and a collaborative partner, that if you bring me into your project, we're going to work together to make something truly great. But if you're looking for a Band-Aid for your crap story or your bad gameplay, I am not going to do anything to help that. I can't save a bad game. I can make it worse. But I respected someone going, we wanted to create something that's new. We want the experience to be so unique that no one's sitting there going, sounds just like blank. And I think that the answer to that is not necessarily making sure you don't get a familiar actor, but don't do a familiar character. Nolan North was not in every game. Nate Drake was, and it's such a great character. Everybody wants to be that guy, and every girl wants to be with that guy. So that was the main problem that Nolan had, is we need to start really coming up with some very, very interesting, complex characters.
So you guys have pretty much hit the pinnacle in terms of actual characters now. Batman Joker doesn't get much bigger than that.
Let's see how it can.
Yeah.
Where do you guys go from there?
Downhill. You're witnessing the end right now. No, where do you go? I mean, like, but I was thinking the same thing. I mean, from a career perspective, I was thinking the same thing with Chris Redfield. I was thinking the same thing with Ezio when that kind of took over. It was So where do you go? The fact that I'm still here. I mean, that's why, you know. Hopefully the next one. Hopefully there's more ahead. I mean, but no. As far as like iconic figures, Batman and Joker, it's not. I don't know.
I would agree. I think that what you focus on is making sure that you can get good characters, whether they be part of an iconography or not. It would be. I don't know how, from a pop culture standpoint, how I could ever top being the Joker. That's just for me again as a fanboy. That's a penultimate or a pinnacle in my career, to be able to find a character that I find maybe not as complex or as interesting, or no, even something that is as interesting. I think would be the next goal for me. So it may not be as familiar, but to find something that's as intriguing, that's where I want to go next.
Okay, before I venture to the crowd,
Princess Peach. I want to be Princess Peach. I want to be Princess Peach. Yeah, just thought of it. I was like, Princess Peach.
This is your audition now. You're Princess Peach. I'm giving you a job.
Pretty good.
Save me! I'm the new Princess Peach!
That's the game I'd like to play.
There you go.
So yeah, before I venture to the crowd, do you have a favourite line in the game? Maybe something that might have been cut. Anything, please.
Alfred.
It's pretty good.
Top that with your little Killing Joke monologue from New York. Alfred. Were you in New York?
It was in San Diego.
Oh, is it San Diego? That's right. He's following you, Troy.
It's okay, we have a back.
Following you.
No, he's great. I love him. Yeah, it's pretty hard to top that.
Dude, I'm telling you, that was. I mean, like, I have a line. I'm the reason the criminals breathe easier when the sun rises. love that. That's Batman. That's, I mean, that's the... thank you. You have to understand, I'm honestly, like, one of the most nerve-wracking things for me to do is do the voices in front of people. It is so much theater of the mind for me, and I always feel like such a disservice to the character because I'm so far from, like, do I look like that? If I was to stand up right now, I wouldn't have that figure. That's more me right there.
There it is.
Graying, wearing a bad suit.
I'm
not that guy, look.
You get everyone to close their eyes if it makes you feel better.
Thank you.
Just imagine Batman there. What about you, Troy?
Who said that? What?
What?
I thought I heard something. A favorite line?
Yeah, from the game.
Favorite line from the game.
The game that came out yesterday.
It does. I will say this.
What
as
game
from
is this?
the-
What game?
It's something from the trailer. Oh. Something from the trailer. Is that okay? Okay. It's gonna be short. Is that all right?
Only one person.
Yes, keep it short! Come on, not the only panel today.
Oh, he uses German now all of a sudden.
I think I'm a Gogan!
All right. My favorite line is one of my favorite lines that I can tell you without spoiling anything is just from the trailer.